Welcome back to this Introduction to Blockchain Technology lesson presented by Coding Bootcamps. In this lesson, we're going to talk a little bit about the blockchain regulatory structure. And just to review some information here. So in our previous lesson, we talked about cryptocurrencies. Before that, we talked about smart contracts. We talked about blockchain mining, the structure of a blockchain networks. So now we're going to talk about the blockchain regulatory structure. So the blockchain regulatory structure is highly focused on cryptocurrencies. However, though, at the time of this recording, the blockchain regulatory structure is really just at the beginning. So and this information can get very dated very fast. So I'm going to just talk about some aspects of the blockchain regulatory structure that we'll always see. So as we know, the blockchain cannot operate outside of a legal system. Now, it operates it is everywhere and it is nowhere. The blockchain network is throughout the world. It's global. Therefore, nations can regulate within their own borders, but we will probably see some kind of international type of laws or regulation. Some new parts of blockchain and cryptocurrency deal with Know Your Customer and the ALM, which stands for the Anti-Money Laundering. Because of blockchain and cryptocurrency's anonymity, it does create it does give tools to criminals. So that is something that has to be understood. And those honest actors using the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies must make sure that they adhere to the rules. If you're in a situation where you have to know your customer, you may have to take the requisite several weeks or days to research your customer. And we need to validate that we are not moneying or laundering money in any way. So regulations exist at different levels, international, national, state, local. So you have to be familiar with all of these regulations. Regulations always result in permanent employment for experts. So that's something to think about. So blockchain solutions are growing fast, and more regulatory bodies will get involved. The European Union, even the United Nations are involved in blockchain regulations and standards. Also, the ISO, the International Standards Organization, is also active in blockchain. Few things to know. In the US, the IRS it considers cryptocurrency to be property. So if you own any cryptocurrency and you have gains from the value of that cryptocurrency, that must be reported as income. And you need to pay income tax. You don't owe payroll tax, but you owe income tax on any increases in the value of your cryptocurrency. I can't answer what could happen if the value decreases. You may need to register as a money services business. You need to know this to understand depending upon what you do with your blockchain and cryptocurrency, you need to know, are you a money services business? So cryptocurrency exchanges are required to comply with the AML and also comply with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. So the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network is a federal bureau that safeguards the financial system from illicit use and threats to our national security. So as you can guess, the anonymity of cryptocurrency does make it tempting for bad actors. We see now we're in this age of ransomware, and anytime a victim, usually a victim of ransomware, gets a note that instructs them to upload, it's usually Bitcoin to a certain address. So you can see there how bad actors you can exploit the anonymity of cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrency sold as part of an ICO are utility. So are they utility tokens or are they security tokens? An ICO is an initial coin offering. If it sounds like an initial public offering, you'd be right. They're very, very similar. There are currently two types of tokens. Well, I should say there are two types of tokens that can be offered in an ICO. So an ICO is where you tokenize some assets in your business and then you sell those as tokens or as coins to backers. So in an ICO, there are two types of tokens. There's utility tokens, which provide a specific access to your product. So it says here they are similar to loyalty points. Yes. Also, if you're familiar with any type of games that have coins as prizes, or you can use coins to go to higher levels or buy items in your game, in your virtual world, you can sell those coins ahead of time. Those are utility tokens, and you can issue those coins and sell those to your users ahead of time. And then there's also security tokens, which would be investments, very, very similar to selling equity in your business. So it's very important that you consult an expert, because if you issue security tokens, you could be involved in selling in the selling of a regulated security without the proper authorization. So be very careful. Consult an expert. So security tokens can increase in value and also be sold to other investors. So very, very similar to any type of security. The ERC-20 standard is used for tokenization. And in the past several years, many firms have raised money using ICOs. ICOs have been successful and unsuccessful. And for both the issuing firms and for the token purchasers, there are still a lot of unknowns surrounding ICOs. So an ICO, ICO is a security token, or what is considered a security token, again, an expert should be consulted to make sure all the Security and Exchange Commission regulations are followed. A security token represents a valuable asset that can be liquidated. If the organization issues a security token, they must register and comply with all the SEC rules and standards. Again, consult an expert to avoid violations and trouble. There are some ways that you can test to see if you are issuing a security token. So in 1946, the SEC published something called the Howey test. And the Howey test can be boiled down to two questions. And if you answer yes to both, you qualify as a security token. So is the token being sold as an investment? So are users buying it in the hopes that it will increase in value as your company is more successful? And is there a manager upon whom investors rely? And state and other local laws. So in the USA, but in many other countries, several states have their own blockchain regulatory laws, and even localities within those states may have their own. So you need to do the research. There are several jurisdictions in other nations with their own blockchain regulatory laws. So quite often nations, states, provinces, and other jurisdictions have either unclear or conflicting laws. So be aware of that as well. So there could be, even within the same nation, particularly within the US, different jurisdictions can have conflicting laws, and you need to do your research to understand what you should do within an environment like that, how to operate within that type of an environment. And unfortunately, legal and regulatory expertise is needed, almost always needed, certainly advisable. It's the cost of doing business, and it's if you are safe rather than sorry, that's that's the way you want to go. If you're sorry, it could be expensive. So the blockchain regulatory environment is growing and changing, but please do your research because it is rapidly growing and it is changing. Cryptocurrencies are property for tax purposes, and increases in value must be reported as income. And that is in many jurisdictions, not just the US. Cryptocurrency exchanges and miners are money services businesses. So understand money services businesses. Cryptocurrency exchanges are businesses that are subject to the FinCEN regulations. So please understand that. And tokens sold as security are subject to SEC rules. So take a minute to go through the assessment. And for more resources, please consult your learning materials. And for more training classes. Next, we'll talk about blockchain use cases. Thank you.